Most people think love is a feeling, but your body learned what love was long before you chose it. Unless the nervous system is regulated, won't feel like safety, it's gonna feel like survival. From the beginning, the human nervous system is shaped by relationships. Before language, theology, and conscious choice, our bodies are already learning one core question: am I safe to exist? Attachment theory is not always about romance, it's about survival learning. As children, our nervous systems are wired within ourselves around the understanding of availability, consistency, emotional attunement of our caregivers, and when safety is reliable, the nervous system learns regulations from within. When safety is inconsistent, overwhelming, or absent, the nervous system adapts by outsourcing that regulation. And this is where trauma begins, not as a memory, but as a strategy. And a traumatized nervous system will learn that closeness feels like safety, distance feels like a threat, intensity feels like you're alive, and abandonment feels like death. So, this wiring follows us into adulthood and quietly governs how we experience love, pleasure, pain, and desire. If this already feels familiar to your body, it's not just your mind, it's your nervous system recognizing itself. This is exactly what regulation work does, including reflexology. It changes how we experience relationships at the root and why love becomes confused with intensity. Does the spark between you and another person feel like magic? Or does it feel like this frantic need to be rescued from something? For an unregulated nervous system, chemistry isn't just a feeling, it's like a drug. And we mistake that rush of dopamine and cortisol for the one, that feeling of this person is perfect. And our bodies are just desperate for this hit of regulation. When an unregulated nervous system encounters intimacy, chemistry, or emotional closeness, it's not just experienced as nice, it actually experiences it as relief. This relief is driven by dopamine, which is your anticipation, novelty, obsession, and oxytocin, the bonding, fusing, that feeling like home, and cortisol. So, together, this makes an internal shift. The body says, this person makes me feel safe, so this must be love. This is why infatuation feels mysterious, transcendent, or almost sometimes spiritual, not because it's sacred, but because it's overwhelming. If intensity has masqueraded as destiny for you, regulation is what gives you that discernment. So follow along because we're about to separate chemistry, those emotions and those feelings, from truth. Most people never make it past this first test. For most people, the first path to healing comes through pain because pain will strip away illusions and it forces you to surrender. And the ability to sit in pain without numbing, escaping, attaching meaning, or externalizing is an act of letting go. It's a surrender through release. This teaches our nervous system that distress can rise without destroying me, sensations can pass without action, and survival does not require escape. This is how regulation begins. But pain is just the first test. If your body is learning to stay present without bracing, regulation is an action. And reflexology supports this process by teaching the nervous system it can stay safely. The second test is actually pleasure. This is the part that no one talks about because pain is not what pulls people back into old patterns. Pleasure is. It's a deeper test that comes later and it's a lot more subtle. Once the nervous system becomes capable of tolerating pain, it must also learn how to tolerate pleasure because pleasure activates the same attachment circuitry that trauma once relied on, which is feeling close, warm, desired, bonding, that safety through another person. And this is where many people fall back into old patterns. This is where toxic relationships happen and all these things that bring us back to where we felt like we made progress and now we are losing that because pleasure will say, come with me, merge with me, follow me. To sit with pleasure without moving towards it is not repression. That is actually sovereignty. This is surrender through obedience, not release. It's remaining steady instead of chasing and remaining still instead of merging. It's choosing yourself over relief. This is where the nervous system regulation becomes non negotiable because without it, pleasure will always feel like a command, like something you must do. That whole follow your heart idea. When you're running towards a high or you're running away from a low, both paths lead to the same place, which is the loss of self. When our emotions become our masters, we lose our direction. True maturity isn't about avoiding highs or lows, it's about making sure that they're not the one sitting in the driver's seat. You get to be that person. Pain that is not surrendered to becomes bitterness, collapse, and despair, but pleasure that's not surrendered becomes addiction, fusion, and idolatry. Both will promise you an escape. Both offer a feeling of control, but both become your master. Pain will say, end me. Pleasure will say, follow me. Two sides of the same coin. Neither of them are allowed to rule a sovereign nervous system. True maturity is when neither pain nor pleasure gets to decide your direction. In order to break that cycle of the chase and escape, it requires a physical shift. Reflexology helps recenter your internal compass so that your emotions can be felt without becoming instructions. Regulation is the missing link between love and the truth. What if I told you safety isn't something that you find in another person, but something that you build within yourself? When your nervous system is regulated, love stops becoming a drug that you need to survive. It starts to become a choice that you get to make. When the nervous system becomes regulated, something really important happens. Safety is no longer external. The body is no longer needing that intensity to feel alive, the closeness to feel like a whole person. It doesn't need chemistry and all those feelings to feel chosen or attachment to feel safe. Love stops functioning as a drug. Pleasure stops functioning as rescue. Emotions are felt without becoming instructions. This is not emotional numbness, this is capacity. This capacity is exactly what we are working on in reflexology, teaching the body that it is already safe, it is already whole, it is already enough. So follow for more on how to build this internal sanctuary. But here is the thing: the healthier you become, the less dramatic love will feel. And that scares people. Honestly, in a regulated nervous system, love feels a lot slower. It's not so dramatic. It's a desire that's quiet and an attachment that feels less urgent. It's a connection that feels spacious. To an unregulated nervous system, this might look boring. But what's actually happening is that love is no longer compensating for fear. Infatuation feels mysterious because it's so overwhelming to our nervous system, but love feels ordinary because it feels safe. Only one of these can endure time. Real love is not a spark. It's not the butterflies and the chemistry, it's the hearth. It's what's built underneath. It's the repeated choice and consistency, trust, presence, mutual regulation, and the time that you put into it. That kind of love cannot be manufactured by trauma or chemistry. It must be something that is nurtured and grown. If you are ready to trade that spark for a love that actually sustains you, it starts with calming your internal alarm system. So let's talk about how bodywork can get you there. Reflexology and the restoration of your own personal sovereignty, this is where the body will enter the conversation, because insight alone does not rewire our survival system. Reflexology directly works with the nervous system by activating the parasympathetic dominance. It calms the adrenal overdrive, grounding awareness within the body, helps restore an internal rhythm, and that makes you feel safe. Repeated exposure to this regulation over and over again teaches the body a new truth, which is that I'm safe without reaching for anything. This is what changes everything, because a nervous system that learns safety from within no longer needs to cling to old relationship. It no longer chases things. It no longer confuses desire with destiny, because it doesn't mistake intensity for truth. Love becomes a choice, not a survival strategy, and pleasure becomes an experience, not a command. If this resonates with you, share this video with someone who needs to hear this, because let's start a movement of regulated nervous system retraining, healing ourselves from the ground up, creating sovereignty. Sovereignty isn't just about building walls, it's about knowing where you end and another person begins, and the ability to love deeply without losing your mind or yourself. This is rare clarity that comes when your body and your spirit can finally sync. Sovereignty is not control, it's freedom from compulsion. A sovereign nervous system can sit in pain without trying to run away from it. It can sit in pleasure without chasing it. It can feel desire without having to obey it, and it can love without losing itself. It's not coldness. This is truth, and it's rare because most people never learn to regulate enough to see the difference between attachment and love, between the chemistry and covenant, between the intense feelings and what is actually true. If you feel like your old beliefs about love are falling apart, don't panic. You are not losing love. You're losing the addiction to the attachment, and what's waiting for you on the other side is so much quieter, so much deeper, and so much more real. You're not losing your belief in love. You're losing your belief in the attachment that masquerades itself as love, and what it replaces is quieter. It is slower. It's a lot less intoxicating, but it does not use you. It does not consume you, and it does not demand that you abandon yourself. That is true mystery. That is the true mystery of love. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the nervous system and into our heart. And for more tips on reflexology and emotional regulation, make sure to follow and check out my other videos. Your journey to safety and sovereignty starts today. And if you want to support this work within your body, it's not just about understanding. That is what reflexology is for, healing from the ground up.